Hello, everybody, and welcome back to One Hub Racing here in Monza, the Temple of Speed, for round 7 of the P3 tier. And of course, joined alongside me in the commentary box is my good friend Colin. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening, Nick. Yeah, really, really good. Really looking forward to this. The championship's now starting to get very interested as well, and we got weather to deal with again.
Yeah, of course, the adaptive weather system. Obviously, we've tried to mention it at the start of every stream. We know that qualifying is going to be dry. We know the rest of the season's qualifying are going to be dry, as all the mixed weather condition ones have been used up, and only the set of dry conditions are left. So we know quality is going to be dry, but the race is going to be dry to light rain. And of course, Colin, when you run approximate, which I think is how it should be, you're going to get a variation in terms of the practice races you do will all be different.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've done 2 or 3 practice races, and the weather's come at completely different times. So it's the drivers are going to have to think on the fly a bit. They're going to have to think about their tyre strategy. They don't really want to do their 2 stops really before the rain comes. Are they going to stretch it out? Are they going to risk it and go for a fast, couple of soft runs? It's going to be really interesting. And of course, for the first time this season, we've got P3 drivers taking their engine penalty.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, in the one hub racing seasons, your engine doesn't last an entire season. So you have so many laps on your engine, which is posted each week. And basically, at some point during the season, you're going to need to take a new engine, which will have a whole new set of laps, and it will make you start at the back. So when you do take an engine penalty, you will start from the back of the grid as punishment for taking the new unit. And Colin, do you just want to run us through who we've got starting at the back this week?
Yes, so our 4 drivers who are taking our engine pens this week is Whopping Proverb in the McLaren. Uh, both the Red Bull drivers of Jamie and Jess are going to be taking their engine penalty, and Mason Senior is taking an engine penalty in the Ferrari. So they're going to have some overtaking to do.
How often do we see it, obviously, or comment on it on stream that Jess and Mason are always so close on track, and now they can't even get away from when they take their engine penalty together. So there'll be obviously plenty of opportunities to overtake round here. We know the rain is coming later in the race, so they'll want to get the majority of that done before it arrives. But interestingly, that both Red Bulls deciding to do their engine penalty, will that hinder them? Will that help them? Obviously, we know they're good at working together, Colin, but an interesting one there to see both the Red Bull teammates do it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm surprised they did that. If I'm truly honest, I thought they would have try and hedge their bets a bit and one do one race and one do the other. But it might work in their favour. They'll be able to help each other go through the field. Maybe give themselves a bit of a toe down the straight with DRS and try and pull them back towards the pack. But from the practice that I've done, this is a difficult track. You're running very low wings. You've got some very heavy braking zones, especially into turn 1. Yeah, I think we're going to see a couple of errors creeping into some of the drivers, especially when the rain comes.
Well, you got to be good on the brakes here. Obviously, where there's a few heavy braking zones, that means there's also some traction zones that you got to be comfortable with the rear of the car on exit of corners. And as you mentioned, Colin, the rain's coming later in the race, so you know we'd expect all drivers to run a dry setup. I think you'd be risking it if you were to run a bit more wing just for the rain. Perhaps you'll change that up at your pit stop, as that's one of the things the mechanics will change when you come in for a new set of tires. But I think strategy is going to be really interesting. Obviously, as you said, you only ideally want to do one of your stops before the rain comes, so your mandatory second stop will be when it's time to switch over. If it's time to switch over, if it comes, DRS is disabled on the penultimate lap or something, drivers might risk it because the pit lane, here, it costs you quite a bit of time to do a pit stop compared to some other tracks.
Yeah, it does. With that such a long, fast straight, you're losing a lot of time in the pit lane. But I'm really curious to know what tyre strategies everyone's going to use. Obviously, Mason, Jess, Jamie, and Proverb are gonna stay in the pit garage at this moment in time. They will go out and do an installation lap just to get their setup loaded, and then back in the pit lane. As Jamie decides to go out on the intermediates.
I was just about to say you might see them go out on a wet weather tyre, just so that they don't use up any of their dry compounds. And of course, this is a track where you can actually do 2 laps on one set of tyres. So will we see anyone do that? You can see Proverb put the inters on as well. Now Anthony's currently sitting on the medium tyre, hasn't left the garage yet. So yeah, they'll do an installation lap, as you said. Important just to do that to ensure that your setup loads correctly for the race. So if you're taking an engine penalty and you're starting near the back, you are allowed to do an outlap. Obviously, they can't get in anyone's way, and if they do, then they could be reported to the stewards. But I just wanted to pick back up on Red Bull, both of whom the drivers are taking an engine penalty. They're in second in the constructors now with 148 points, just the 7 behind the Haas team, who has to be said, the last few rounds have shown some tremendous consistency and pace. Yeah, as you said, it's interesting because you'd think maybe you'd get one of the drivers to try and score highly to minimise what you'd expect to be the biggest loss to your rivals if you're both starting at the back.
Yeah, definitely. It could be a bit of a risk. The rain, I think, will help them. I think that'll bring them back into it. But it does seem a big risk for both of them to start at the back, because obviously if there's a collision into turn 1 and they're next to each other, they could inadvertently cause each other to crash as well. And we know, through the history of league racing and Formula 1, that there's so often is there an accident and front wings flying heading into turn 1 at Monza. It's notorious for accidents.
Well, it's such a heavy braking zone, so it's easy to be caught out. As Jamie obviously retires because he's not taking part in this session due to his new engine. Hookie's on a quick lap though. Mixed season for the Ferrari driver, but as he heads through the high-speed chicane, important to nail your braking zone. How do you think corner cut penalties and track extensions are going to affect the results here tonight? Because it's not that hard to get yourself one, particularly through some of these chicanes.
It is. It's especially when you're pushing, it's quite easy to pick up a warning. We've seen from last week when Papa Squanch got a penalty, it really sent him down the order, especially with the late safety car, as Hookie does a 21-1. Currently provisional, only driver to set a time so far. But I think he could go quicker than that. That's a reasonable start to the session.
Lesty comes across the line, 3 tenths behind. You're going to see the times tumbling down as Shelby bangs in a 19.8. That's a pretty quick lap, particularly for a P3 driver. 1.2 seconds quicker than the nearest lap time. That's what I'd expect to be a kind of a P2 lap time. As M125 just pops in behind him. He's obviously been on a charge recently, running on board with Ghosto, back to the P3 tier at last race, moving down from P2. How will he find? I love this final corner of the Parabolica. You can throw the car in there in qualifying.
Oh yeah, you can really throw it in there. In the race, you've got to be a little bit more careful with a heavy fuel load. But it's such a rewarding corner when you get it right, and you know when you got it right. You don't need to look at the stopwatch. You know when you've nailed that corner. But yeah, that's from Shelby, 19.8. That's a tremendous lap. Yeah,
banker as well.
Very impressed with that.
Yes, so Fozzie, Matthias still to set a lap time. Anthony, Bravo obviously won't. Cowboys retired, so what's happened there? He was out on track, I think. Yellow flags coming up through these double right-handers.
So we're sorry to interrupt you there, Nick. We have to do, unfortunately, Codemasters is doing his usual trick of being a pain and hasn't applied the weather correctly, so we're going to do a lobby restart.
Okay. Alright, well, we got to do it all over again. Obviously, as we mentioned, we know the weather's been decided to go from the dry to light rain, so yeah, not sure what has happened, but our host has left the session, which means we are restarting. We're right on board with Ghost. Is he? No, he's not on a push lap. Is Fozzie doing his lap? He looks like he's going for it still. Or has he backed off? Everyone's leaving, as you can see, and I'm sure we will get an invite soon, Colin.
Yes, but this does give an opportunity to go through the stand-ins as well. So, after last week's race in Austria, where M125 had a tremendous weekend, where he won the sprint and won the feature race, he is now just 3 points ahead of Papa Squanch. He's had it's his third victory, counting the sprint, this season. But his results have not been that consistent. But he does find himself in the lead with Papa Squanch in second. Now in third place, we have the Red Bull driver of Jamie on 81 points and his teammate Jess on 67. Now from 5th all the way down to 11th, there's only 13 points in it. So we got in 5th place Whopping Proverb on 55 points. Matthias, one point behind him on 54. Shelby then on 51. Rageman on 50. Mason and Cowboy both on 47. And Hooky on 42. And then in 12th place we have Marcy. Jackamundo, the other Alfa Romeo driver, on 28 points. And Ghost on 22. Fozzie's on 17. Cosmic, who's unfortunately had to leave the league due to his connection issues, who Ghost has replaced. And then we have Lesty on 13, Anthony on 12, Dr. Mew on 7, and a big shout out to Dr. Mew. Hope he's recovering well at home. Okeke on 5 points, and Felix on 3 points.
Yes, echo your thoughts on Dr. Mew. Speedy recovery, and we look forward to seeing you back on track. And also, I just want to point out that M125 was the first driver last week to win a second race of the season. So up until then, we had a different race winner every week. And I think the interesting point as well is that Papa had been leading the championship all the way until last week. So he's had, I think, some messy starts, been involved in some incidents at the start of races, and we can see that Matthias is the only one in this session, and we'll ride on board with him as he uses it for a practice.
Yes, hopefully he realises there's a new lobby coming. Maybe he's just waiting for the invite and getting a couple of extra laps in. I don't blame him, sensible call. I'm still very pleased for Matthias getting that first one-up race victory a couple of races ago, and he's still in the hunt. You know, he's in 6th place with his Williams, and he had a bit of a nightmare last week. There was a few incidents involved where he finished 15th in the sprint, but did recover to 6th in the race. But he does seem to be driving a lot more consistently than he has done in previous seasons.
So, will Shelby be able to replicate that lap time? That's question number one. We've obviously waiting for the invites for the new lobby. There's an error with Codemasters. So, not sure if the drivers have had an invite yet. I haven't had an invite yet. I don't know if you have.
No, not yet.
So, Matthias carrying on through the second chicane here. Hopefully he's going to leave the session and join the new one at the same time as us, so we can get going straight away.
But it's very, yeah, I'm wondering how this race is going to pan out now. I mean, obviously this has upset the drivers' routine a little bit now. Obviously, the likes of Mason and Jess and Jamie and Proverb not really affecting them much as they're taking their engine penalty anyway. But it does. I've seen it put off drivers before, so they're gonna have to reset a little bit and hopefully get back into the same rhythm. But it's going to be very interesting to see when this rain comes in the race as well. Like we were saying before, Nick, we've had quite a few sessions and the rain has come at completely different times.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting because drivers will need to have a look at the weather indicator when sitting on the grid to plan their race strategy, their dry race strategy, up until when they think the rain's going to come. So, it might be a case of that you can do two softs. There might be a case that there's a medium and a soft, or you might have to do two mediums. Or will we see anyone who has a first lap incident perhaps go onto the hard tires? They're obviously available for this race as well. So, really interesting. Obviously, those taking engine penalty have the advantage of they have loads of fresh tires. Will we see a safety car here, Colin? Is this a track where there's a high chance, or do we think it's a track that's relatively low?
No, you are right. I mean, if you think of you got so many fast corners, and the grass and the gravel's not that far away, and one wheel on that, and you're round. Especially through a Scari. We saw Vettel lose it there a couple of years ago in the Ferrari, and then reverse back on track, nearly causing a huge accident with Stroll. And this is the type of thing that can happen. And drivers are going to have to be a little bit careful if they do make a mistake to rejoin a little bit safe as they can. Obviously, we do have ghosting, but they're going to have to be a bit wary.
Yeah, for sure. So, 18 drivers in. I believe that's what we had in the previous session, and I think we're going to be good to go again. So let's hope they've got the weather all right. Let's have a quick look at the settings. We can see that it's custom. The start time they've put as random. That's not right.
There we are, back to realistic now, yeah, and custom weather. So it's probably Codemasters being Codemasters, unfortunately. But if we go back, obviously we've shouted out the driver stand-ins, but we haven't shouted out the constructors. So like Nick said at the start, Haas team on 155 points, with M125 and Cowboy. Then we got Red Bull only 7 points behind, with Jess and Jamie. Now that could increase at the end of this race with both drivers starting at the back, but we'll have to wait and see. Mercedes then in third on 117 points, that's been with Papa Squanch and Anthony Hunt. And then we have Ferrari, the two Welsh drivers of Mason and Hookie on 89 points. And then in sixth, on just 10 points further back, on 79 points, is Alfa Romeo of Shelby and Giacomondo. And then Williams then coming in at seventh with 71 points, with Fozzie. And I'm trying to remember who the other Williams driver is. I think it's Felix, I believe. No, it's Matthias, sorry. And then we've got Alpine in 8th on 67 points, Aston Martin 9th on 18, and AlphaTauri on 10. So, I mean, there's still a lot of points on offer, Nick. It's still going to be tight at the top, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Plenty of points up for grabs. Obviously, we've got 2 more sprints to run this season. I think there's going to be more mistakes to be had, and drivers have opportunities to take advantage later in the season. I think we've got a couple of street tracks coming up as well, don't we? So, plenty to play for, and I think we are going to be readying up very shortly, and we will get this one underway, slightly delayed, albeit, but plenty of time before our race tonight, Cole, so we won't have to dash off before the end of the race. It's quite a short race here, actually, in Monza. 27 laps, and you're kind of doing low 20s to mid 20s in the race. So, looking forward to seeing how we get on in Monza. Not a track that we've raced at too much in One Hub, actually. Has to be said, but definitely a track where we're going to see some DRS slipstreams and some trains. I think it's what's going to be important for them is some of these drivers, Colin. If there is a DRS train, is not to lose it, to make sure you're staying within that train, because once you fall back out of a second, that train will start to pull away from you.
Yeah, that's the thing, and you've got to be a bit conservative with your ERS here. It's very easy to wipe it away to nothing, basically, even though with the heavy braking zones. So ERS usage is going to be key as well. But yeah, you're right. You've got to stay in that DRS train if there is one, because it gains so much time. And if you find yourself out of DRS, you're gonna lose a lot of time to that pack. So they gotta use their ERS quite tactfully to keep themselves into the DRS zone, but not enough to waste it, so they haven't got any left.
Yeah, I think it is a track where it's quite easy on fuel, I found, and also it's quite easy to gain back ERS compared to some of the other tracks we visited this season. Obviously, heavy braking zones, that helps generate your ERS back. For those of you who don't know, obviously ERS is a battery energy use system, which is gathered during braking and things like that. So yeah, I think we're in for a treat here tonight, Colin. As we said, we've got a dry qualifying, 18 minutes to decide the grid. We know that Jess, Jamie, Mason, and Proverb are starting from the back four positions due to a new engine. So you might see them come out, but they'll only be doing an installation lap.
Yeah, so as the drivers now start again, yeah, Wappen Prover back out on his intermediate tyres. But if that rain does come, and it comes early, I'm not entirely sure how many intermediate sets you get, so I'm surprised some of them haven't decided just to do a run on the soft tyres. And just toddle around and get back safely. As Matthias and Jamie there and Jess all on wet and intermediate tyres. But can Shelby replicate that tremendous lap of a 19.8?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see whether he can. It was a decent bank, it has to be said. So you'd expect the session to get quicker as it goes on. Usually, towards the end of the qualifying session, it will be quicker than the start of the qualifying session. There's more rubber down on the track, and therefore there's more grip. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether he's able to replicate it and whether he or anyone else can beat it. And 19.8 is a decent lap time around here.
I think it's a great lap time. I'm hoping he can pull that out of the bag again, because I think that would, even though that was set quite early on in the session, and like you said, the grip level's going to increase as the session goes by. I don't think many drivers would have been able to beat that on their final run. So a bit more pressure on Shelby now to try and replicate that time. As Wapping Proverb comes out of Scary on his inters, and he'll be parking it in the pit lane. So,
Lesty, on a quick lap now, the first driver, so himself and Hooky, who were the first two to set a lap time in the previous session. If you're just joining us, we had to do a lobby restart due to a weather setting error, which, just as assured, it was actually correct on her screen. So, as you said, not sure what Codemasters is playing at, but what's happened to OKK, because that is on track somewhere.
Oh, that is a real shame. I didn't catch that. I'm trying to work out where he would have crashed. I think
it's in Sector 3?
Yeah, I think it's Ascari, where we mentioned. I think that's where he's lost it, and he's gone in the wall. And that really puts him on the back foot now, heading into the race, because he will be at the back of the grid.
Yeah, and I think because he retired before those who completed their outlap, I think that'll mean that he will start actually behind them. We'll have to wait and see for the confirmation of the grid. But Leslie sets a 20.684 to start us off. Hooky comes in 3 tenths behind. So he'll be looking to improve as well. Everyone's on a hot lap at the moment. So Matthias, a bit of a queue out the pit lane there as well, obviously, as they keep an eye on the drivers who are starting a quick lap. Don't want to get in anyone's way here. We've seen, obviously, Hamilton and Verstappen a few years ago on the exit through turn 1 and 2 there. 20.1 and 125 pops in.
Yeah, that's a solid lap as well. Just reading the chat, and Wace was saying that Okeke lost it on the exit of the Parabolica. So I think he must have touched the grass on the exit, and that sent him into the wall, I think. So that's a real shame for Okeke.
Shelby's in the pits, by the way, Cole, so he must have invalidated or messed up his initial run.
Oh, that's a shame, especially after that 1980 he did in the previous lobby.
So his teammate Jack's on a quick lap here as well. What can he do? As you said, you can run wide through Parabolica with two wheels on the green cement, but sometimes you can get sucked in, can't you, Colin? If your car in the middle of your car gets on it, that's it. You're heading towards the wall, and there's no hope in hell for you once as Jack comes into the pits. So both Alfa Romeos. Obviously,
yeah, I watched Jack, and he just run wide through the Ascari section, and just run wide off track, just a touch, which invalidated his lap time. So a nightmare start to this session for the Alfa Romeo drivers. They are not going to be happy at this stage.
So Matthias has retired after doing a lap on Inters, but he's not taking an engine penalty, so no idea why he was on the intermediate weather tyres. And yeah, he's set a lap time.
Look, yes, I'm just about to say, he's set a lap time. Now, you are not to set a lap time, so the procedure is for anyone taking an engine penalty, and this is all detailed for them. You come out the pit, you load your setup, you come out the pit lane, you go around, and you don't cross the line. You actually pop into the pit lane. So for this race, Matthias, that lap, that this engine penalty won't count.
Look at this between Fozzie and Rage, by the way. They're racing into Ascari. So the McLaren was behind the Williams, Colin. They both obviously have DRS because it's qualifying. And yeah, Rageman lost out on that, I'd say more, but perhaps he's just caught him up on both their flying laps. Obviously, that would be the McLaren's responsibility to make sure that he didn't catch the car ahead. But Matthias hasn't actually taken an engine. He hasn't taken an engine penalty as Rageman goes up to P3. So Matthias, I don't know why he's done that on Inters. He hasn't taken an engine penalty. He's not one of the four that we know are taking an engine, and you can't just decide on the day, can you?
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I had a bit of a brain fade then. Yeah, no, you're dead right. Matthias did not take his engine penalty, so yeah, I'm very confused why he's done that. I'll double check on the P3 chat to see whether he actually did it too late, and he thinks it's valid, and it's not. So for those of you who don't know, the time limit for when you could request an engine penalty is Saturday midnight. Once you go into Sunday, then that's too late then. And as Papa Squanch does a 19.8, and that just shows how good a lap that was from Shelby. Papa Squanch into the 19s, the only driver in the 19s at the minute. As I'm looking down the field now, and yeah, oh, Jack's in the wall. Jack's lost his front wing.
Facing the wrong way. He's got to be careful he doesn't get disqualified here. Yellow flags.
Yeah, he's going to have to keep moving now, because if you... Oh, that would have damaged his rear wing as well there with that big hit on the...
Oh, and he's just took his tyre off.
Oh, what a shame.
Obviously, you're not allowed to reset to track, Colin, but in certain situations where it's dangerous, you know, I'm sure the stewards might take a kind of view, but yeah, he can only blame himself for that one. I would have probably hit the revs a bit and span the car around. Rather than try to do a 3-point turn, but these cars are made for their horsepower rather than trying to park it. But yeah, lots of drivers making mistakes here, Cole. I got a feeling we could see a low finishing race here tonight in this tier.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially, towards the end of the race when there's rain as well. And they're going to be on intermediate tyres, but on a predominantly dry setup. So they're going to find it very difficult. It's already a difficult track to race around due to the fact you've got to run such low downforce with the long straights. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of mistakes at the minute, a lot of mistakes. As Hookie sets a time at 20.031, puts him on the front row provisionally.
I think the other thing, Colin, is some of these corners, there's such high speed and you're running such low downforce, but you've got to try and carry as much speed as possible. It's developed slightly on this lap, different point of view, but Fozzie was right behind Rageman this time as they came down into turn 1. So, not sure what maybe they're going for. Obviously, we see it in real F1, don't we? Where they all try and congregate together to try and gain that slipstream. But yeah, interesting from two drivers who aren't teammates.
Yeah, strange. It's like I think that maybe they were trying to get a tow from a competitor, but got too close. And then that's obviously, you're going to get, when you're that close, you're going to get a lot of dirty air as well. So, yeah, a strange thing. I've never seen that really before. Two drivers get that close together on both being on fast laps.
So Shelby popped in a 20.2, so he's 3 tenths off what we know he can do from the last session. So, Colin, let's run through this. We know that Jess, Mason, Jamie and Prabab are taking engine penalties, so they'll be starting at the back. Matthias has done a lap on Inters for some reason and then retired. OKK's crashed it on the exit of Parabolica, and Jack has crashed it trying to do a 3-point turn on one of the straights. So all going on here in Monza. We've got some quick drivers starting near the back now.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers now out of position. Matthias will be, OKK, obviously Jamie and Jess, they're certainly out of position. Mason is as well. And Proverb obviously coming second at Austria last week. So they're going to have to be, when they come through the field, they've got to be, quite careful. They've got to be a bit aggressive, but they can't be too aggressive. And they could cause an accident, and then that's their race done.
So 9 tenths separating the top 10. Anthony is on a quick lap here now, just started it. So you've got himself and Shelby, who are currently the only two out on track, as Ghost now exits the pit lane as well. So as we said, the track is always quicker at the end of the session. More grip's been laid down from the tyres. Colin, talk us through here. Obviously, these drivers will be running low downforce setups as Anthony touches the gravel there on the exit of the second chicane. That's going to affect his lap time. Talk us through getting a quick lap here. How important is it to be comfortable on the brakes and also try and nail your turn in, because naturally there'll be more understeer in the car.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to be. It's basically the track of the late breakers, this particular track. But the traction zones are so important because the vast majority of them lead on to very long straights. So if you could be very, very quick in, but if you're not quick out, you're going to struggle and you're going to lose a lot of time. It's the old adage, it's not how quick you go into a corner, it's how quick you come out the other side. And that is especially true for this track.
Oh, Shelby goes wide. That'll be lap invalidated. He was equal to his previous lap, but he's just gone wide there. He actually touched the grass on the inside of the corner as well, so that wouldn't have helped him. Anthony improves even with that mistake, so definitely more lap time in there from Anthony. That's impressive actually. 7 tenths off with that mistake, which I would think would have cost him about 3 tenths. So perhaps under half a second off his teammate, the Mercedes, looking to get into this championship battle in terms of the constructors with Haas and Red Bull, the top two teams at the moment. So Shelby will come into the pit, so they have time for one more run. Another thing I want to point out here, Colin, is it's really difficult to get the car slowed down for the pit entry. Will we see drivers getting 5-second time penalties for speeding in the pit lane?
Well, believe it or not, I've yet to come in, during my practice races, I've yet to come in the pit lane and not get a penalty yet. So every single time I've practiced, I've got a penalty. So, yeah, it's very easy. You're approaching it at such high speed. And, of course, you want to brake as late as possible. But, yeah, I can see quite a few pit lane speed penalties kicking in tonight.
Ghost, by the way, is half a second up on this lap that he's on.
As he comes around the parabolica. No, he's in the pit lane.
Must have invalidated.
Must have invalidated. But Anthony Hunt is certainly, I've just been looking at his results and his qualifying performances over the last couple of races. For me, as we are, just about halfway through the season, certainly my most improved driver from race 1. Struggled a bit at the start, but what an improvement from him, especially over the last couple of races. He's really, his pace has dramatically improved, I think.
Colin, look at the two on track. Who is it again? Close together. It's the McLaren really and the Williams. Strange. Rageman and Fozzy. And now Fozzy's not using his ERS, so Rage is getting a beautiful strip stream. They're working together here tonight in Monza. They're not on the same team, but they appear to be working together.
That is really... Oh! Rageman's off!
He's out. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's out.
I was on board with him through that. Shame. Tyres off.
Oh. And that's, like we were going back when we were saying how easy it is to, do DNF. Ascari, you're going through there so quick, and if you get the line wrong, you're in real trouble. Rageman still in 6th place at the minute. So obviously he's not going to improve. The drivers behind could go ahead of him now. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of mistakes already, aren't we?
Yeah, I think in qualifying, obviously, you're going to push 100%. But I think in the race, this is a track that you need to be a little bit more cautious. So Fozzy's lifted off to let Lesty through. So is he going for a cool-down lap before another out lap? You're going to see everyone come out the pits, by the way. Cowboy is just exiting now, so he's cutting it fine. He'll have to do a quick out lap here to get round. And we can see the Alfa Romeo in the background. Is he going to get out the way? He goes straight on at turn 1 to get out the way of the Alfa Romeo driver of Shelby. So let's ride on board with him because we know what sort of lap time he can do from the aborted session we've just done. Will he be able to get into the 19s like Popper's been able to? All your top 11 now currently out on track, either on a quick lap or on an out lap. Shelby's up.
This looks very, very smooth at the minute. He's carrying, you can see that he's carrying good speed as he comes into the Lesmo section now. Into Lesmo 2. A little wide on the apex, but not too bad. Heading down as they go under the old banking. So the bridge there, you can see that goes towards the old part of the circuit. And he's about 300s up, but he's invalidated. He invalidated at Ascari. Such a shame. And the real shame is, if he did his lap from session 1 into session 2, he would have been pole.
I got a feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it the exact same lap time?
Could well be, actually. I will go back and check.
I'm sure it was a 19.88 something. But yeah, everyone on a lap except for Shelby who aborts into the pit lane, so that's the best he'll be able to do here tonight. Let's see whether anyone's lighting up the timing screens. M125 and the two Hasses will be the last to cross the line. Who's going to be first? Anthony's a 10th up. Fozzy's on a hot lap. Marcy's 3/10 up as he crosses the line. That jumps him into 6th place, under half a second off pole position at the moment. Who else? Fozzy's 3/10 up now as we're going through the double right-hander here. Gets the exit nice and clean. Sometimes that curb you can get the plank on the curb and it just kind of slows you down. Popper improves to a 19.4, so improves by 0.4 of a second. What a lap time from him. He wants to get his championship charge back in order. So who else can improve? Anthony's in 7th place Hooky does another lap. It is an improvement, but not enough. So he's into second place comfortably at the moment. What can Fozzie do? We'll ride on board as he crosses the line. M125 in third at the moment. Fozzie improves into ninth.
Oh, Ghost jumps up to fifth with a 20.236. Very good lap there. But what an astonishing time from Papa Squanch. That is one hell of a lap time. I'm very impressed with that. I was actually on board Papa when he was doing his lap, and he was just nailing every braking point, every apex. The traction zone was great. He's looking really, really good. You get the impression that he's not going to be pleased with the rain coming, because he's obviously got a lot of pace in the dry.
Yeah, Lesty wasn't able to improve in that last lap. Neither was Cowboy. Marcy invalidated through a scurry. So, yeah, some drivers, the pressure getting to them, but not the Mercedes man on the top. A 19.495 is your pole position time for the P3 tier. Of course, remember you've got your P2 tier starting at 7 o'clock, and then your P1 tier starting at 8 o'clock, featuring the Mercedes duo of myself and Colin.
But I mean, I'm still stunned by that lap from Papa Squanch. I mean, that's just tremendous. Yeah, as we can see there, Papa Squanch in pole position. Second is Hooky. Another great qualifying from Hooky. His qualifying has been a bit of a concern, really, but he's really improved a lot over the last few weeks. Third, we have M125. Fourth, Shelby. Fifth, Ghost. Then we have Cowboy, Marcy, Anthony Hunt, Lesty, Fozzie, Rageman, Matthias, Whopping Proverb, OKK, Jamie, Mason, Jackamundu retired early, which is such a shame, and Jess. So now this is where the drivers are going to have to make a call now. What tyre strategy are they going to use?
Yeah, they'll need to keep an eye on the weather in their strategy screen to see how many bars into the race it's going to come. So let's wait and see. It'll be really interesting to. I think if you see a lot of drivers start on mediums, then it could mean the weather's quite late. If you see a lot of drivers start on softs, it could mean the weather's coming a bit earlier into the race. But as commentators, Colin, we have no idea. We don't get to see the strategy screen, so I know Jamie's streaming. Maybe I'll pop over and have a look to see what his screen says. But Colin, we know that fuel's quite easy here. Tyre wear isn't the highest as some of the other tracks you've been to this season. What do you think the drivers will be doing? Do you think any of them will be adjusting maybe their front wing in anticipation, or would you expect them to do that at their pit stop?
I would suspect they're probably going to do that if and when they change to inters. They may put a little bit more front wing on, because you are going to get a lot more understeer, and they could change their diff, which you can do on the fly. But things like rear wing settings, suspension, that's set now. That's done. There's nothing they can do about that now.
Yes, obviously Parc Fermé rules from qualifying, so drivers aren't able to change too much in the race as they're sitting on the grid. So hopefully they are given enough time to select their strategy. And of course, you can't select inters ahead of time on your race strategy. So it'll be something, again, that these drivers have got to remember to do when they've done their first stop and their engineer starts banging on the radio that the rain is coming. Of course, we'll see it go cloudy, and then we'll see some drops start to appear, whoever we're riding on board with. But you can see the front wings lined up in the pit lane. Will any of the drivers need to use a spare one of those this session?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. We've seen quite a few drivers make some big mistakes already. Obviously, in qualifying you can afford to push it a bit, but they're going to have to tone it back a little bit now. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm very curious to see what the drivers at the back, the likes of Jess and Jamie and Proverb, What's their thought process going into that turn one? Are they going to be aggressive? Are they going to use it as an opportunity to get ahead of drivers, or are they just going to take it easy and let any carnage happen in front of them and avoid it?
Well, there's a decent rundown to turn one as well, so you'll see some slipstreaming. Will we see anyone have, some poor starts? It'll be really interesting before they slam on the brakes around the 100-meter board, heading into turn one, which is a really tight chicane, of course, so not really possible to go side by side, comfortably. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm sure we're going to see an incident. Will we see a safety car? How will that affect pit stops? As we said, the pit lane loss here is quite large. Obviously, as you're pretty much full speed. But here we go. The 5 red lights, Colin, are on. We got the Mercedes versus the Ferrari. Front row of the grid, and the lights out. The Mercedes gets away well. Everyone seems to get away well, except for the Williams in the background there. I think that might be Matthias down in 12th place. Look at this, the Haas driver, M125, trying to go around the outside of Hookie. We'll get some more information on the screen. He is able to see a bit of pinching there going on. Lots of slow movement. Anthony up into 5th position. Popper's got a brilliant start. Hookie somehow got back ahead of M125 as we head through to the second chicane. I don't know if anyone got damaged there as Cowboy gets ahead of Rageman. Marcy losing a position now. Ghost falling down the order as well. So plenty of drivers, plenty of movements here as we got yellow flags in Sector 2. Marcy's falling further and further down the order. Not sure what happened to him. But Anthony up into 5th position. And we can see that there's yellow flags still in Sector 2. So what's that for? We'll bring you the conditions. What's changed? Marcy does have front wing damage. But Colin, what did you pick up from the start there that I might have missed?
Well, Marcy just seemed to outbrake himself just a tad. And he lost his front wing. But I was watching Okeke, and he had a storming start. He went up 6 places. Unfortunately, he just made a small mistake there where he's been overtaken. But what a great start from the Aston Martin driver, up 4 places already. Same with Jess up 4. And look at that, Papa Squanch, he's already now out of DRS as M125. He's on the inside of Hookie, heading into turn 1. Can he slow it down in time? Yeah, he does. A lovely move there. M125, as you can see, on the soft tyres. So we've got quite a range of strategies going on at the minute.
Yeah, so your biggest gainers are Jess is up 5, OKK's up 4, as Colin said. Anthony and Leslie both up 3. Fozzie's down 6. Marcy's obviously into the pits. So Fozzie, Jack and Marcy all into the pits. Marcy down 11 after a good qualifying from him. Ghost and Cowboy down 2. But let's flip over to the tyres now. And let's see what we saw. A right mixture of softs and hards. Jack putting on the hard tyre. Softs and mediums. Jack putting on the hard tyre down in 17th place. So he'll be hoping to take that until it starts raining. But DRS, of course, not enabled until lap 3.
Yes, and we've got our first penalty of the race already. Fozzie with 5 seconds. I think he got that when he came in the pit lane. So yeah, when we were saying about pit lane speed penalties, Fozzie has one already. He'll have to serve that then at his next pit stop as well. So Fozzie's race has gone from bad to worse at this stage. But look at M125. Now Papa Squanch had about a second lead. On M125, he's cut that down by half. He's really going for it. Don't forget, these two drivers, they're 1 and 2 in the championship. And they're separated only by 7 points as well in Papa Squanch's favour.
Here comes Lesty.
Sorry, 3.
Lesty on Anthony on the sister Mercedes. Is he going to try and send it into the second chicane? The Red Bulls, by the way, getting past Matthias as Matthias came into the pits. Jess is currently leading her teammate Jess at the moment. They're going to try and slipstream each other along. But Lesty in 6th place behind the Mercedes now. A bit of a gap starting to develop between the top 4, who are going to have a ding-dong battle, I'm sure, all the way through. How much Urzos did M125 use to try and close that gap? It's hovering about a second. Here comes Lesty down the inside of Anthony with DRS back onto the racing line. Job done. Are we going to have any moves further back as Cowboy's under attack from Ghost?
Yeah, that was a great move by Lesty. He's really showing some great pace in this race. and of course he's on the medium tyres, so he can go quite long into this race. But on the subject of ERS, Nick, Papa Squanch has actually used more than M125 at this stage of the race, but Hookie's in the slipstream, and he's got DRS. As he challenges into the first chicane, well, he's done it already. The move is done already. Now that
he goes straight on.
That,
He goes straight on. He's going to have to cut the corner here, make sure he doesn't gain any time. I don't think he's got any warnings or anything from that, so he'll lift off, tuck back in, and not lose the position to Shelby. But still, what does that do for his confidence breaking into turn 1 next time he arrives there?
Oh yeah, he's going to be very wary the next time he breaks there. Obviously, he had the DRS, and of course you're approaching that corner a lot quicker than you would do without it. I think it's about, I think it can be up to about, 7 miles an hour, I think, around this track. If you break at the same place, you are going to run off. So yeah, he's going to have to resettle himself now a bit. He might have cooked his tyres a bit, but he's still within. He's still only 4/10 behind M125, so he's got the pace. But look at Shelby. Shelby wants to join the party now.
Yeah, we're going to see as they head down this straight, and then behind them there's another battle. I mentioned DRS trains in qualifying. You're starting to see them now. So as Hookie thinks about going down the inside, Hookie looks to me like he's got more straight line speed than the Haas driver in front of him. Whether he's using more ERS, obviously not 100% sure, but we'll stay on board with this battle. But you can see in the background of the shot there the 5 drivers of Anthony, Lesty, Cowboy, Ghost and OKK as Rage comes into the pits. So no movement here. What about these guys? Lesty trying to go down the inside. Goes deep. Pulls out of it slightly to give Anthony room. Fair play to him for that, but Anthony not able to get the best traction out of the corner, and now he's under attack from Cowboy.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. We've got 4 cars fighting for it. We're going to go 3 wide. No, they decide against it. Cowboy's on the inside of Anthony and makes the move very nicely done. As Lesty has a big moment as they head towards the first Lesmo. And he's got that lead. But of course, this is just helping the top 4 pull away. I'm looking further down the grid as well, and Mason's really had a bit of a nightmare start to this race. He's 8.8 seconds behind Jess in 11th. I'm not sure whether he's picked up damage or not, but he seems to be struggling at the start of this race.
Here comes Anthony now. He's able to carry more speed through Ascari. Is he going to be able to get the Haas driver back down into Parabolica? Obviously, so is he lift off slightly? You want to be behind that line there. There's almost contact. You want to be... there is contact! Cowboy's in the wall. Anthony...
that's such a shame. Bit clumsy
virtual
there, really.
safety car. I think Anthony should have either backed out then or kept it a bit tighter. And one of the Red Bulls makes a late call to dive into the pits. That's Jamie. Jamie's in the pits.
Now this is interesting. So what are they going to do now? Jamie's on medium tyres already, and he's chucking on another set of mediums. So he's gonna try now and drag that set of mediums until the rain comes.
So we see the Haas driver and we see the Ferrari of Mason, who you just mentioned, coming into the pits now. He's going onto a hard set of tyres, so he'll easily be able to go until either the end or the rain comes. So those 3 choosing to pit. Jamie only losing, still losing about, let's say, 15 seconds, but a lot less than he would have lost under normal racing conditions.
Yes.
Drive-through penalty.
Cowboy gets a drive-through as well, as if his race couldn't get any worse. And don't forget, this is going to have a huge effect on the Constructors' Championship. You got the Haas. I'm just going to check the standings now. But Haas, let's have a look. Yeah, they're in the lead, but only by 7 points over Red Bull. You got one Haas in 3rd, and the other Red Bull, the other team of Red Bull with Jess in 9th and Jamie in 11th. Cowboy will now be praying for another safety car to get him back into this race.
Well, the only 2 soft runners left out on track, that's M125 and Shelby. You're seeing Lesty just behind Ghost, so Ghost passed him on that last lap. Interestingly, A lot of drivers were in DRS before that virtual safety car, where now there seem to be a lot less drivers within 1 second of each other, as there's yellow flags in Sector 3. Let's try and find out what that's from. Oh, there's been an incident between Jack and Mason.
And Mason, yeah, they've come together somewhere along the line. I don't know, I didn't catch all of it. But yeah, they look like they've come together. Yeah, look, Jack's lost his front wing. I don't know whether Jack outbraked himself or whether Mason made an error and Jack had nowhere to go, but he's in the pits for a new front wing and gets a 5-second time penalty.
I could have called that speeding in the pit lane before he got anywhere near the line. As his teammate picks up a corner cut penalty, he's no stranger to those. So Jack coming in now for a front wing change. And another set of boots on that Alfa Romeo. What will JR Mason? He continues on, so no damage to his car, but lost a lot of time. Disappointing, he'll be hoping to bounce back. Obviously took his engine penalty. Let's flick back on board though with the closest battle, which is Ghost, Lesty, OKK and Anthony, all on the same straight, using that DRS to try and close in.
Yeah, this is crucial now. I just actually went back onto Mason's stream there to see what happened between. Oh, as Jack gets a 10-second time penalty. Now he took the escape road quite rightly to get out of the way of drivers, but unfortunately didn't slow down quite enough and does get 10-second time penalty. So Jack,
what's he doing here?
He's straight lined it again. He's
if he doesn't want to do this race, he just needs to retire in the pits. No point in ruining anyone else's race or causing an unnecessary safety car, which could affect the results.
Yeah, so I was on board Mason then. I was just looking at his stream, and as they were in the centre part of the Ascari chicanes, Jack just seemed to misjudge the gap a little bit and unfortunately tapped the back of Mason. Yeah, real shame for Jack, as he was having a pretty decent race. He was in a good position with his hard tyres. I don't know whether he's going to come in the pit lane and retire, but let's hope he continues.
Yes, both the other Alfa Romeo in the pit lane though, Shelby from those soft tyres. So Jack's coming into the pits, yep, retired from the session. So retired in the pit lane, which shouldn't bring out a safety car. His teammate pits from those soft tyres, and you can see in the background there, loads of drivers battling into the first corner.
Yeah, it's so easy to outbrake yourself into that first corner as well, so they've got to be careful. As Rageman now passes Shelby, who's boxed for hard tyres. So Shelby's going to try and stretch these out now until the rain comes. Shelby already with 3 seconds of penalties after 9 laps. I'm quite surprised. I thought I would see more corner cutting penalties at this stage of the race, but they're doing quite well.
So look at this, Lesty almost pushing Ghost through the double right-hander. He's going to have a great run down before Ascari. By the way, Hookie's closed massively on Popper. Well under a second now. M125 holding on a little bit. Yellow flags in Sector 3. What on earth is that for? Lesty's still got...
Fozzie in the wall. Fozzie in the wall on his hard tyres. This is the issue with going on the hard tyres. You know, they are obviously the hardest compound that we use, meaning that they have got good durability, they'll last a long time, but they just don't have the grip of the other tyres, and Fozzie's finding that out now.
Yeah, they're hard to get the temperature into them as well, Colin, around here. Obviously not too many corners, so you're seeing a couple of cars coming to pits. M125 gets off those soft tyres. Ghost also deciding to come into pits from the medium, so I'm not seeing too many clouds in the air at the moment, as Popper well under attack now from Hookie. So Hookie's looked after his medium tyres more than Popper, and now Popper's well under attack.
He is, and Hookie's got 30% more ERS to his disposal as well. So here he is now, he's got DRS. Now, is he going to be able to close? You can see he is using his ERS as they head towards the Ascari.
Oh, he's off on the grass!
But he makes it. but he does run wide a bit. He might got a little bit of a warning for that, but what a move. Very brave to go on the grass there by the Ferrari driver, as he's going to now try and scamper away. Yeah, astonishing.
So he's going to be under attack now from the DRS of the Mercedes, but he just seems to have the better pace. Is he coming into the pits? He is coming into the pits. So they must have some telltale signs that the rain isn't going to come too late, and they're deciding that they want to get their pit stop done now. No point in staying out there on tyres that you don't need to look after if you know the rain is coming. Proverb, by the way, on 6-lap-old softs, currently in 12th place. Himself and Ghost are now behind Jamie, who pitted behind that virtual safety car, of course. Another virtual safety car, so what's happened here?
Well, this is strange. I don't know whether it's debris. In fact, I think I can see the safety car in the pit lane. This is going to be a full safety car. Now, is it because it's Fozzie? Fozzie's beached. Fozzie's beached. So I think that's a Scary. He's been disqualified. That's such a shame. So, of course, if you are beached, obviously you are allowed to reset to track then. But he has been disqualified from the session. You can see he's got no front wing as well. What a shame for Fozzie, as he's disqualified.
Yeah, he's binned it, and then the game's been cruel and disqualified him for parking. Obviously, he was trying to. You could see the rears spinning, but he just couldn't get away. So, do you know who's going to be absolutely laughing? Is the top 4 who haven't come into the pits yet, because they're going to get a free pit stop, and then come out, I think, 1st to 4th still.
Yes, they're going to be dancing in with that safety car timing. Hooky will be absolutely furious. He just took the lead, then boxed, and of course the safety cars come out at the worst possible time for him.
On my screen it still says virtual safety car.
Says, yeah, the same as mine. I'm sure I saw the safety car. Maybe it is just the virtual.
The track, it's out on the track mat. You can see the yellow dot. It's waiting for the leader. Yes. So Popper's gone on to softs. Hooky has got through into second, as is M125. Shelby will come through in 4th position. So the top 4 as they were. Ghost just gets ahead of Lesty. So you're going to see Jess move well up the order because of that safety car. Anthony behind as well. So most drivers taking the chance to pit will run through what tyre everyone's on and that sort of stuff in a second. But just to confirm, Shelby's the only one with a penalty, and we can see that everyone has now done at least 1 stop. Some drivers have done their mandatory 2, of course, but everyone has done 1 stop so far.
Yeah, so obviously, to reminder to people who don't know, well, we here at OneUp do a mandatory 2-stop strategy. Saves just simple 1-stop boring races. So, and it does spice things up a bit, especially with safety cars coming out. I'm Anthony Hunt now. He's on hard tyres, brand new hard tyres in 8th. Now he's going to be able to get them to go to the rain, I'm almost certain. The likes of Okeke, Jamie, Proverb on brand new soft, same as Papa Squanch. Will they last long enough before the rain comes? Now, of course, safety car, we know it's raining at the end. And the more safety cars we have, the closer that rain's going to come.
The more laps we'll have in wet weather conditions, as you see them all start to bunch up. JR Mason will be thankful for this safety car, as will Marcy. They'll be able to close back up to the tail of the fields. But I tell you what, Colin, these soft tyres have gambled. The drivers on the soft tyres have gambled that the rain's going to come. Not is it only going to come early, it's going to be heavy enough that they can switch on to a set of intermediate weather tyres. So I have to say, I'd rather be on the mediums if it was me, but of course we don't have the benefit of what the engineers are telling them.
No, that's the thing. Obviously, their engineer will give them an approximate time of when the rains come in, 10, 15, 20 minutes. But I'm just looking at the skies now, and it is getting darker. The clouds are now starting to come over. The blue skies have gone, so I don't think the rain's that far away.
So, Hooky was just obviously battling for the lead before he came into the pits. He's managed to get back into second, M125 in third, and Shelby in fourth. So your top four as they were before the pit stops started. Ghost has made his way up into fifth position, and then you got Lesty, Jess, Anthony, Rage all took advantage of that safety car to come into the pit. Jess obviously gaining massively from that to do her first stop. So see what she can do. Of course, she started at the back with a fresh engine, just waiting for JR Mason now to catch the back of the field, and then the safety car will come in. So be interesting to see. I don't think it'll be this lap, Colin. I think it might stay out for another lap.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they would have got the call by now that the safety car was coming in. So I think we're going to go and do another lap. Now this, you would have thought, will help the softer runners.
Yes.
With that rain coming.
Oh, it's in.
No, it is in this lap. It is in. So there you go. You can see Mason now at the back of the pack. He's rejoined the queue.
I always hate it when that happens because everyone has to slam on the brakes and just creates an effect. But I'd imagine Popper's going to leave this as late as possible. He doesn't want to give too much slipstream. So, of course, they can't overtake until the start-finish line. But he's gone for it. Keep an eye. Ghost is taking full advantage, trying to get ahead of Shelby here. But now he's being passed by the Aston Martin, who's going to go down into fourth position on Shelby. Will he be able to make it stick? Round the outside, side by side, keep it clean, boys. No, they're making contact, not giving each other enough room. I'd have to say Shelby had plenty of room on the left of the track there. He should have given Lesty a little bit more room on the outside. He couldn't have gone any further closer to the gravel. Don't know if anyone else is changing position too much, Colin, as I was riding on board with that, but they all seem to have got through without any damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jess didn't have the greatest of restarts there. She went from 7th down to 10th. So that hasn't really derailed her restart, but it certainly hasn't helped the situation.
Here comes Proverb on it.
Runs wide.
Yeah, so the two Red Bulls struggling perhaps to heat up their tyres. Could be tyre temperature related on that car as Jess is passed by Proverb into 10th position. Expect these soft runners to fly in these next few laps.
Oh yes, I mean you can see Papa Squanch. Look at the gap he's pulled out on Hooky with those fresh soft tyres. 1.5 seconds already, which is what he needs to do. He's going to be desperate to keep Hooky out of that DRS zone. There we go, Papa Squanch, 22-2.
Lesty's showing some good pace here, but under attack. He didn't get the best exit. Anthony's got some good straight line speed here tonight. On those hard compounded tyres, is he going to try and send it down the inside? No, it's sometimes really difficult to try and do a manoeuvre under braking there, as OKK is trying to go around the outside, and Anthony gives him just enough room side by side, almost wheel banging through there. As we head into the second chicane, Anthony has lost the position rather than gained one.
Oh, I was on board with Michael, with OKK then, when he went round the outside. What a move that is! Now, I know that those two are in a party together, OKK and Lesty. So are they going to now be communicating with each other? OKK on those fresh, well, not fresher, they're a one lap older tyres, but they are the soft tyre. They are going to have more grip. Now, is that Lesty moving over to allow Michael through?
Don't think so.
No, he's blocking OKK, so maybe they are just going for it.
It's great to see some hardcore racing between teammates, as you're going to see now the move's going to get done, you would think, into Parabolica. Of course, no DRS until 2 racing laps have been completed after safety car comes in. As Lesty goes deep, he's off the track now, manages to carry some speed as Popper sets another fastest lap of the race, absolutely storming away. No rain yet, but you can see the clouds in the distance, Colin. It's arriving soon. Anthony with his straight line speed again.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, the straight line speed Anthony's got in that Merc is tremendous. He's obviously running low downforce. Now, that's going to hurt him when the rain comes. So it'll be interesting to see what pace he's got when we get this wet weather coming along. Mason really struggling at the back.
Marcy just went straight on at turn 1, had to go around the styrofoam arrows, not to avoid a penalty there. And looks like Mason's going to be attacking the Alpine. But at the front, Hookie's taken half a second back out of the lead. Is he going to be able to close up? And I'm impressed with Anthony's pace here. 0.4 of a second, he's really able to hold on to those Aston Martins. Obviously, they've all got DRS now, but his straight line speed is really playing into his hands.
It really is. One thing, oh, that's not what Anthony wanted. So he's got 3 second timeout. What a catch. What a catch from Anthony there. I thought he was going to be in the wall. I thought that was the end of Anthony's race, but he does manage to catch it. Now, one thing I'm being interested to see. Now, Papa Squanch, he's only got 14% ERS. That's it. Hookie, 63%. So now I think you can see what Papa Squanch decided to do. He wanted to use all of his ERS to get out of that DRS zone. But now this is where both M125 and Hookie could potentially reel him back in.
Oh, KK just went on the grass there as he's trying to get past Shelby. Shelby's flashing the rear light of his car, which means he's burned all his ERS since the safety car restart. So done the same as Papa, but is now paying the price for it. So KK gets ahead of the Alfa Romeo, who we know has some good pace around here at the Temple of Speed. The sister Aston Martin will now try and take advantage, but he's under attack from Proverb and Anthony. All to play for here in Monza, lap 17 of 27.
Yeah, 100% all to play for. We got 10 laps to go. We know rain's on its way. You can see it getting darker and darker each lap. As Cowboy gets 3 seconds. This is where the drivers have got to be so careful not to get too many time penalties. We saw what happened to Shelby. I think it was that Austria. I think it was where he crossed the line in 3rd, but with all the penalties he had, dropped him down to 9th, I believe.
He's still flashing the car, and he's going to lose another position here, Cole.
Yes, he is. Oh, is there 3 wide as they head into turn 1? Lesty on the inside, and he makes it 2 moves in 1. Oh, there's contact as Michael's round as well at the back of KK's spun. Manages to keep it just about pointed in a straight line. But this is turning into some aggressive driving now. This is where they're starting to get a little bit desperate. You know, they know the rain's going to come, so they want to get these moves done now, because it's far easier to do these maneuvers in the dry than in the rain.
You can see how cloudy it is above now. The top 4. Now Papa, Hookie, M125, Rageman all outside of DRS. Ghost is outside of DRS as well in 5th position. So is Lesty. So this is the closest battle that we've got. Let's just swap on board to Matthias and Jamie. Matthias getting ahead of the Red Bull driver. If you're on soft tyres, you're going to be wanting the rain to come as soon as possible, because after about 7-8 laps, they will start to die off as the gap is coming down at the front. Hookie is able to look after those tyres better and just nurse them and extract the pace later on in the stint. 1.2 now the gap between them, as Shelby still under attack on his hard set of tyres, but Anthony, with his straight line speed, really impressing me here tonight.
Oh, he's driving so well. You know, yes, you can see he's got good top speed, but he's using it effectively as he's going to try and overtake. Oh, no. He thought about having a go of Lesty in the Aston there. Thought better of it. But don't forget, he's on the hard compound tyre as well. I mean, he's driving tremendously well here. Unfortunately, he has got that 3-second time penalty. But his pace is astonishing.
I think what's interesting here, Colin, is you're seeing the majority of the incidents on the exit of turn 1. Drivers aren't giving each other enough room, and I feel like it's always the driver who's on the inside as we exit the corner, meaning on the left, that just isn't using the track to the left of him, and the guy on the right is right up against the curb. And, you know, we know with this game, as Whopping Proverb is under attack now from Cowboy, we know in this game the contact model isn't the best, as Rageman is under half a second. So relishing these cloudy conditions as he attacks. What's that? That's Anthony. We've commentator cursed him, Colin.
Oh, that's such a shame. He's he's lost it in the Ascari corners there. Oh, that's devastating for him. He was driving so well. So he's now 7 seconds behind Okeke. That's going to be devastating for him. I don't think he's picked up damage. I think he's managed to avoid any damage. But of course, there's no point in boxing. But he does. He boxes. Now, what's he going to do here? Is he going to go on soft tyres? Surely, I mean, he can't go on intermediates at this stage.
Perhaps if he thinks he's going to finish outside the top 10, or even inside the top 10, if he boxes now, he's got a greater chance of setting the fastest lap, which he knows worth 2 points. Just a thought. As, by the way, Colin, on that lap, Rageman got ahead of M125 into the first corner and is pulling away from M125. So M125 going very wide, losing more time, now outside of DRS. Hooky just keeping the Mercedes, who's leading the race, honest. You have to say that Popper's been kept very honest. Every time he's pulled away, he's been reeled back in by the Ferrari man.
Yes, he really has. I'm just very surprised that the pace of Rageman in particular. Because, yeah, you could, as you said, you know, Hookie's not far behind, but Rageman's reeling the pair of them in. His pace in the McLaren at this stage of the race is brilliant. You get the impression that the top 4 drivers, they're not going to want rain. It adds a variable that they ain't going to like.
So who's in the pits? Ghost comes into the pits on 10-lap-old mediums. Let's see if he changes his wing, as I'm not sure why, unless he thinks the rain isn't going to come, Colin. He's gone on. If the rain doesn't come, he's pulled a blinder. As not everyone's done 2 stops. We'll show you that in a minute. So Jamie and Okeke battling. Jamie getting past Okeke, lifting off the 4 Parabolica so that he could get the slipstream from up all over the back of the Aston Martin.
I mean, that's a very strange call from Ghost to go on the softs. Like you said, maybe he's gone for the fastest lap point, thinking that he's not going to get any higher, really. But you would have thought, I mean, we are on lap 21 and there's still no sign of rain. Now, we could get wet weather, but not enough for it to turn to inter conditions. So these next couple of laps are going to be really interesting, as Proverb there in 5th has got that time penalty, don't forget. As Lesty, Cowboy and Shelby all sharing the straight heading towards Parabolica.
Yeah, and you can see Hookie's now within DRS of Popper, so got it under a second. Those medium tyres working well for him, but yeah, this battle here is fantastic, as we're seeing Jess on the back of her tyres as well. So she's going to try and use DRS to get past the Williams driver.
Yes, I mean, this is turning into a great race for
There's
Jess
rain.
at the minute.
Just saw some rain, Colt. Flash on the screen.
So here, yes, I can see it myself. So now comes the rain. Now, what do the drivers do? Is it going to come down hard enough to warrant intermediates? Are we going to see any driver risk staying out on slick tyres? It's a big cause, lest he gets 3 seconds. That's not going to be what he wanted. He was in a net 5th at that stage, but that penalty is going to derail him a little bit. But this rain, now how it seems to be coming down relatively light at the minute, but we know it's going to get heavier. Is it going to be enough for Inters?
Rageman losing a position there to M125. I didn't catch what happened, but quite a big gain M125 has gotten on Rage this lap, so there must have been a mistake somewhere. We can see Matthias now going past Shelby on those hard tyres. I've got on the screen for everyone, you can see who's 2 stopped and who hasn't. So the drivers that will have to stop again: Popper, Hookie, M125, Lesty, Shelby and Jess. Everyone else has stopped. So who's coming into the pits? That's Rageman has decided to come into the pits as Shelby gets himself a penalty. He's also in, as is Jess. Inters for these ones.
So if this is such a difficult call now for the top 3, they know they've got to stop. But what tyres are they going to go on? Are they going to leave it to right at the end to get onto the intermediate tyres? But they're going to lose a ton of time. I'm surprised that they've left it this late to have their one stop. It's a big call. It's gonna be very interesting now to see. Oh, we got a yellow flag. I'm trying to see who that is. I think it was Marcy who runs wide a touch.
Rage just gets past.
Yeah, you can see, look, the drivers are making mistakes now. Now it's not...
Here comes Hooky. Sorry, Colt. Under half a second as they exit. Ascari heading down to Parabolica. I don't think it's wet enough for Inters yet, but it will be there soon. Is anyone going to risk it? Anthony's retired. Where has that happened? Didn't quite catch it. Yellow flags. Popper's coming in. Hookie's following him. Get the car slowed down, boys. M125 continues on. M125 is not coming into the pits this lap.
So what tyres are these guys going to go on? Are they going to go on Inters? So look at Hookie on Inters. Papa Squanch on Inters. Oh, as Leslie gets 5 seconds in the pit lane.
They're all coming in now. Jamie's in as well. Rage Man on Inters already. So this is going to be really interesting. Really, it is very wet. M125 is going to start to struggle. 21 seconds though.
Yeah, but has he left it a lap too late? It looks
Hookie's jumped Popper.
Wet.
Hookie's jumped Popper in the pits.
Popper.
Not sure what happened.
I'm very surprised by that, unless they made a mistake, because I'm sure that I saw Papa Squanch ahead of him in the pit lane. I don't know whether he did Papa Squanch run wide at turn 1, and that allowed Hookie to get through. I don't know. Unfortunately, Anthony has had a technical issue and his brakes broke. Oh, that's such a shame. He was driving so well. Maybe that was one of the reasons. Oh, as Hookie runs wide. Now this gives Papa Squanch.
DRS hasn't been disabled, of course. Oh, touches the wall on the inside as they went past. DRS is disabled. What's M125 going to do? He's lost 2 seconds this lap to the leaders. He's got to come in. He's coming into pitch. Virtual safety car. This could win M125 this race. If he's able to come out in front and not lose, he could be leading this race just by chance, Colin.
Well, this is stunning development. I mean, I'm looking at OKK. So the reason why we've got this virtual safety car is OKK, unfortunately, has spun on those slick tyres, and he's got no front wing.
He's done it. He's done it.
In the pit lane. He's done it. He's jumped him. And don't forget now, we're under VSC conditions, so they cannot overtake him.
What?
And he has jumped them.
What a call that was. Obviously a bit of luck involved, but as Popper's just overtaken him under safety car conditions.
Now that is strange. Now I'm almost certain that M125 came out of the pits there ahead, unless the game told him that he didn't.
Oh, Hookie tapped him there. Hookie tapped.
That was close.
So how's Popper managed to gain 2.6 seconds, 2.7 seconds on the two behind? What's going on here?
This is very strange. So M125, he's going very, very slowly at this stage. Oh, as Leslie gets... I've never seen that before.
I think it's because they can't do a drive-through because there's not enough laps or something to do like...
Of course, yeah.
But what's happened here? Popper's just won this race because of that situation that could end up in the stewards, Colin. I've got a feeling you could be looking at this after the weekend ends.
I think you could be right. The only thing I can think of is that M125 was told by the game to give the place to Papa.
But then why such a gap?
Look at the lead he's got.
Yeah. Side by side, you're seeing Cowboy and Lesty. Lesty getting a bit of oversteer as well. Cowboy gets in front. Of course, no DRS now. All the passes have to be done. And he's coming back at him as Marcy gets a penalty. Side by side. What a beautiful helicopter shot this is. Into turn 1. They both get the car slowed down. Oh, it's one of those turn 1. Sometimes the car on the outside just has to back out, Colin, as Hookie is all over the back of M125. Has he got damage here or something? So, third place, Hooky, before this, Weather was fighting for
I'm
the win.
wondering whether M125 has run, he's got a low wing setup and he's just struggling, but he doesn't have any pace really. Hooky is all over the back of him, but he just can't get past him at the minute, as Shelby gets another 3 seconds.
He's got good pace to Shelby, but he's got to cut that out of his game plan because it's costing him too many positions come the end of the race, Cole.
It is, it really is hurting him. You know, he's had podiums lost because of it. I think he's better off maybe driving at 95% as opposed to 100, and I think he'll get better results. Now, can Hooky, I mean, look at Papa Squanch, 2.7 seconds ahead. He's really comfortable in these conditions as they head on to the last lap of the race.
Yeah, final lap. You can see the two Red Bulls side by, well, not side by side, line astern, exiting Parabolica, so they haven't been able to make as much up as they'd hoped, but Proverb, who also took a new engine, up into 5th place, so it's going to be a good result for the McLaren team to move up the order. The team that we obviously thought would do really well in the Constructors, and what's happened here? Ghost is in the wall. So
Ghost is round.
Parabolica.
Such a shame on the last lap as well, Nick.
Yeah, he's going to lose. Oh, Shelby's retired. Shelby's lost the car somewhere.
Oh, that's so easy to do in these intermediate conditions. I'm trying to work out. I think it's sector 2 that he's lost it.
I think it's exit of 2? Yeah, it's exit of 2 that his car drops down the order. But we're going to have to switch back to Papa because the Mercedes man didn't have an easy race here, Colin, but he is going to take only his 2nd win, considering he was leading the championship all the way up until last race. As long as he makes this final corner, the exit of it, we've seen driver spin there. He's having a slight weave, not too many, as he crosses the line to take his 2nd win. M125 holds on to 2nd. It's definitely going to end up in the stewards. What happened at that restart there? Hooky takes 3rd to get himself another podium. Rageman in 4th. McLaren of Proverb in 5th. Great result for him after some difficult ones early in the season. So let's find out what happened to Matthias, because Leslie's going to drop down the field quite a bit due to that speeding in the pit lane. That speeding on the virtual safety car. So Matthias in 6th, Jesse in 7th, Cowboy crosses the line in 8th, Jamie crosses the line in 9th, Leslie, will he keep 10th position? Marcy's going worldwide from Parabolica there. No, Marcy jumps into the top 10, so poor Leslie's lost out massively from that.
Yeah, this is where you've got to be so careful with these time penalties. It can really ruin your race. Shelby, you know, he's got great pace. His strategy is on point. He's just got to limit these mistakes of getting these time penalties, and he'll be on for great results.
KK doing some grass cutting here in Monza. He's stuck in 3rd gear by the looks of his car. No, he's decided to find 4th.
Yeah, I think it's been a bit of a struggle for both Mason and OKK. You can see he's lost his front wing there. Oh, is he gonna? He just about makes it. So he's gonna cross the line with no front wing.
He's got to get there first.
Of course, this is worth a championship point if he can finish.
Very good point, Colin. Very good point. I think he's just having some. Yeah. So the fans in the stands under the rain get to see a bit of drifting from OKK as he crosses the line in 14th place. So 4 drivers did not finish this race. There'll be plenty said after this one. But yeah, M125 already questioning Papa, why did you overtake me under the virtual safety car? So we'll have the reaction to that, Colin. We will have the sponsors to run through and our partners, of course, and then we'll have the driver of the day vote. But as always, I'll let you run through the finishing results for tonight's round 7 Monza.
So our winner under controversial circumstances is Papa Squanch. 2nd is M125. Hooky gets another podium in 3rd place. Rageman, a great result there in 4th. Whopping Proverb in 5th place. Matthias in 6th. Jess in 7th. Cowboy 8th. Jamie in 9th, Marcy finishes the top 10, Lesty in 11th, Ghost 12th, Mason 13th, OKK 14th, and Shelby, Hunt, Jack, and Fozzie are DNF'd. So, my question to you, Nick, which I believe is your turn first this week, who is your driver of the day? Oh, I don't know. I think you're on mute, maybe, Nick.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfectly clear now.
Sorry, Proverb is going to be my vote. Taking an engine penalty, starting near the back, 13th, and making his way up to 5th position. I think he needed that result after some incidents early on in the season. So my question to you, Proverb, is how did the incidents earlier on in the season affect your mindset, and were you able to bounce back here? How were you able to bounce back here in Monza whilst taking a fresh engine?
That's a very, very good drive of the day nomination. I think that's certainly very worthy. Now, my driver of the day has to go to the driver who started 18th on the grid and finished in a fantastic 7th place with Jess. What a recovery drive. I mean, she was not confident going into this race at all. But what a drive to jump 11 places there. So, Jess, my question to you is, did you really, really think that a 7th place was on the cards having started 18th? Especially on a track that you're not that confident on?
Great nomination, Colin, and great question. So I can see the top two, M125 and Popper, discussing in their P3 tier chat. So Popper wasn't told to overtake, from my understanding of what they're saying, and he wasn't told to give the position back. And M125 wasn't told to let him past. So I'm not 100% sure. I imagine this is going to end up on in the stewards. So Popper saying on the exit of turn 1 you clearly backed out. It seemed like you were letting me by. From my screen, Colin, I'm sure that M125 was ahead as he crossed the pit lane exit line.
Yes. And of course, no overtaking under yellow flags. I don't know why Papa Squanch would have thought that M125 was letting him go. Obviously, the stewards will look at it with the point, the POV of both drivers to see exactly what the score was. But yeah, strange decision by Papa Squanch to go for that then. Seems an odd call to think that he needed to be overtaken.
Just a quick shout out to the Aston Martin drivers. I thought they had really good pace here today in Monza, and particularly Lesty. He was actually going to get my driver of the day vote before that 20-second penalty that dropped him down the order. So if you watch the stream back, just thought I'd give that a quick mention, Cole. But let's quickly run through the sponsors and partners before we go. So big thanks to Next Level Racing, who have confirmed their prizes for season 24. So head over to Discord and Twitter if you want to check out what the drivers have the opportunity to win this season. Big thanks to them for their continued support. Vespertine obviously sell our merchandise, so if you fancy some One Hub merch, maybe your birthday's coming up, head over there and order yourself a t-shirt or a cap. Pure Sim Gear, who provide sim racing socks or gloves. I know, Colin, you wear gloves when you race, as you were mentioned earlier in a party with me. ERT, of course, sponsor your trophies. They're our main partner, and of course they help provide our trophies throughout the seasons. SimGrid is where our championships are run through, and a massive community of drivers they have over there. And of course, Assetec Sim Sports, who also provide merchandise and prizes to our drivers. So, Ghost didn't do well tonight, but he was in the drivers' press conference, Cole. Great to have you back in the league. Obviously, we know he moved down from P2. What was your best One Hub memory so far, and what are your aims for the rest of the season? Did he answer his press conference? Let's have a quick look.
But I echo what you said there about the Aston Martin drivers. They were, halfway through that race, they were just driving so well. Unfortunately, towards the end, it all went a bit pear-shaped for them. But it just shows that, with a little bit of fortune, you feel as though a great result for the Aston Martin drivers is only around the corner.
Yeah, definitely. They've got to continue that pace, and the results will come. Obviously, that late safety car, so much going on, I couldn't tell whether it would have hindered their results or helped them, but the penalty definitely hurt Lesty. So Ghost said he was asked what was your best memory and what are your aims for the rest of the season. He said his best memory was finishing P2 last season in the P3 tier on the Drivers' Championship. Of course, he would have got himself a silver-looking trophy for that. And he said he stopped playing the game for a little bit due to work, so he's a bit rusty. Perhaps we saw some of that tonight, but he's hoping to get a few podiums before the end of the season, Colin. Final thoughts before we head off.
What another tremendous race for P3. And we still, the most a driver has ever won this race this season is still only 2 races. 2 for M125 and 2 for Papa Squanch. Just shows how competitive this league really is. I just can't wait again for the next race at Mexico, which will be in a fortnight's time.
Yes, of course, it's Mother's Day here in the UK next Sunday, so we want all our drivers to go and spend some time with their mums if you can and make sure they feel extra special. And yes, Colin, looking forward to a week break, but we've got to go get ready for our P1 tier, which starts in 27 minutes. Of course, the P2 tier is currently live, and they are on lapped. They are in qualifying, sorry, so the race hasn't started. Of course, same weather condition they'll be expecting as we saw here in the P3 tier. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the stream. Apologies for the restart earlier on, but hope you enjoyed the extra on-track action. We certainly did, and we'll definitely give you the lowdown from what happened at that safety car incident between Popper and M125. Is Popper's win in jeopardy? We'll find out. Have a good couple weeks, and we shall see you in a fortnight.
Good night.